assuming, let's just do scenario, you are governor of Anambra today, would you take the same policy decisions, some of them, like that the governor, the incumbent governor, Charles Soludo, has taken, such as banishing or raiding the state of native doctors, ending the Mondays sit at home, and all of that, would you take some of these decisions that he has taken?
I would take decisions better than he has taken and in a manner better than he has taken. So some decisions are very rash and usually not done with enough dialogue and consultation. This is why I feel that Governor Soludo honestly needs to learn more of emotional intelligence. It's going to help him in whatever he's doing in governance or even in private life, whatever he decides to do after government. Because what emotional intelligence does for you is to, first of all, humble yourself, tells you don't know everything, so you're able to engage people, synthesize, build dialogue, and by so doing, have the best of the outcomes. So some of the decisions were taken very rashly, some taken very late in time. A lot of what happened in Anambra, particularly around insecurity, he didn't start tackling them on time. First, second, third year gone before, when he was getting close to his re-election, he became more serious. Now we've seen some improvements, so I commend him on some of those, but I would have been more proactive. And let me also say this, most times it's not really about the what. People usually focus a lot on the what. What is this person doing? What is it about to do? It's actually the who. Who is taking, because the who earns you the trust or the otherwise. If you're the right person, and if, for instance, your hands haven't been compromised, you're not compromised, you're able to take a more determined, firm decision that, as you're taking that to the community, both the private, the business community, the market leaders, will jump on knowing that we can trust this man to take this decision. So the who is always missing in the argument. Who are you? So who is Governor Soludo? Who is Valentine Ozigbo? That is a game changer. Because if Val is somebody they trust, they can trust, somebody who they know mean well, will take this decision in the interest of the people, I will earn more confidence and so more impetus in carrying out some of these activities. So yes, I would have done things differently, and that's the message.
I believe strongly any Nigerian, whether Yoruba or Hausa Fulani, not to talk of Igbos, will be proud either yourself or Governor Soludo, was the governor of Anambra State, because head or tail, Anambra wins. That's what I think. But specifically on some of these decisions, take the market shutdown every Mondays. Many commended Governor Soludo for how he handled, initially it sounded rash and a bit high-handed, but look at the result. The state was bleeding. In fact, the entire region was bleeding heavily in terms of, GDP losses because of that shutdown. But then he came there and said, if you do this, I'll shut this market down. They dared it. He shut it down for a week. And then next, everybody showed up there. Do you fault that approach?
So here's the point, because that statement you made earlier, head or tail, is actually where people get it wrong all the time. Okay. Why did you say that? Because he's a professor, former CBN governor, and all that. You look at titles, you again forget the point I just made about the who. Who are you? If somebody, for instance, is arrogant, self-centered, then you're not good for leadership, particularly in a state like Anambra. So it's not head or tail. There's something we're losing when you just swap, thinking both of them are good enough. Yeah, they may be good enough. Somebody could be better. I sincerely believe I would have done a better job. Here's the point I'm making about the outcome. I commend him for the boldness to finally get this job done. I'm saying, why did you wait this long? And why take that decision rashly? Did you engage? Did you meet with these market leaders to understand? And even some of these actors, engage them, dialogue, and read the Riot Act nonetheless, and be firm. Governor Mbadi did the same thing within 100 days of getting into office. Why did it take you 5 years to do the same thing? My point is that we cannot take away what we have lost because there was a time he actually did something like this. More insecurity happened. He did nothing about it. So if you had an idea what could have been done, why didn't you do it earlier? Why didn't you do it in a manner that would engender more confidence?
Tell us, 2027 is fast approaching.
Yes.
The timetable is out. What are you contesting for this time around? Senate, governorship? Even though I know the governorship is still some 3 years ago. But what are you doing 2027? Or is it over for you politically?
It cannot be over, and I'm contesting for something, not for office, but for something deeper than office. Something. I am a single agenda person. If you go back to my tweet of January 1st, I put it there. I said that there's only one New Year resolution that I have, which is how do we get Nigeria restructured? I want this to be framed into the conversation for 2027 and beyond. I feel genuinely that God has provided this window to reset Nigeria. Nigeria is not working. Trust me, we can be better than where we are today. And we have a case of two knives in Ogina's house. One that is sharp doesn't have a head. The one that has head is not sharp. So in that regard, you see that we are just, carrying on, moving on, and hoping where we end. I commend what is going on in the leadership. I feel we can do a lot more. But here's the issue. Nigeria was never designed to succeed. I've read enough, known enough, experienced enough to come to this conclusion. And there can't be any better time than now, given the insecurity in different parts of Nigeria, given the fact that lives basically have no meaning in Nigeria. So how do we get either the government in power? By the way, there's only one option now. How do we make sure he gets this into the conversation so that if he gets back into office in 2027, this is done. So I'm not interested in the issue of governorship or senatorial. I'm not going to run for any of those. What is important right now is to see that we don't allow this moment to leave us behind, where you now see that literally every part of Nigeria has come to the conclusion it's not working. The Yorubas are complaining. The Hausas are complaining. The Fulanis are complaining. The Middle Belters are complaining. The Igbos are complaining. And the answer is not in secession and tearing us apart. Nigeria ought to have been a union of multiple nations. From day one, they forced everybody together. No conversation, no negotiation. And even the effort made in the past were all, wasted away. This is a moment we can't miss. And we've seen that this is re-echoing. I was just in the US the other time, and even in the diaspora, they are eager to see the Nigeria work. And the only way we can get that done is to go back to the root cause of the issue. Most of what we talk about are symptoms. Whether it's even the insecurity is a symptom. Corruption is a symptom. Poor election processes is a symptom. It's like that because we've concentrated everything to the center. And everybody sees this as a do or die and the getting with. And once you go in the wrong fashion, you're likely going to have your hands tied. So, but when we unbundle and reset and reimagine Nigeria into what we're talking about, and by the way, this is something that's been age-long. The patriots have been talking about, everybody's been talking about it. So for me, it's a shame that we're still talking about this. What the hell are we talking about? Why can't we get it done? So this should be the conversation right now. I have gone into politics hoping that I could, begin to shape the conversation from state ground up. But we might wait forever. The truth of the matter is that people have argued about this chicken and egg. Do you restructure Nigeria before you find the right person, or wait for the right person before you restructure? So right now, let's keep that argument. Get it done nonetheless. Mr. President has also done a few things, President Tinubu, to show that the inclination. He's talking about state police, talking about the sovereignty of the local government. He's talking about economic development commissions in different zones. He's talking about even more resources to the state. There are several reasons to show that, but all of these are reversible. We now need to firm this and give it legitimacy so that we can have different parts of Nigeria begin to fire on all cylinders.
Now that you're on it, let's just drill down on it. You alluded to the fact that people are always asking, is it a case of chicken and egg? Is it leadership that is our problem, or is it the system of government? Mind you, some countries, some of the oldest democracies, like the United Kingdom, do not have a written constitution. One of the oldest democracies on planet Earth. The government, the elections, democracy is seamless. One of the best models of democracy on this earth today. That's one. Secondly, let me give you a rough statistics. 22% of Nigerian hospitals do not have clean water and soap. Clean water and soap, 22% of all hospitals in Nigeria. Out of this 22%, 12% of them only have, water and soap for delivery, for child delivery. And that is why Nigeria is the highest country for maternal and infant mortality rates in the entire world. Now, here is where leadership comes, because this is not about constitutional law now. When you now have a government at every level using huge resources to buy SUVs, to build whatever it is we're building, all this monstrosity we're building everywhere, is it the constitution that mandates a leadership that is God-fearing, that is responsible and alive to do the right things?
My dear brother, what you've just described is an epic example of symptom. You can't be having fever and just taking anything and rubbing the skin. The best thing to do is to go back. What is the cause of this, the source of this fever? Where is it coming from? That's what we have always failed to do. Let me tell you this. People usually will look at three things as responsible for what you just described. One is leadership. Two is citizenship, inept citizenship, delusional and basically don't care citizenship. And then culture. What culture drives our DNA? Do we have a culture that celebrates status quo or challenges status quo? A culture of continuous improvement. These are the three. But even these three are symptoms of something deeper. We were dislocated metaphysically. Nigeria is not a nation. It's not like what happened in the US. We hold this as truth, as self-evident. Do you understand? We've never had this. How did we even gain our independence? They forced one part of Nigeria to work with the other part of Nigeria, and we've always been teleguided. Go back to that and solve the issue, and all these things will fall into place. Nigerians are more patriotic to their immediate nations. A Yoruba man is more patriotic to the Yoruba nation, and Igbo nation, than he can ever be to Nigeria, because Nigeria was designed from day one not to ever succeed. It was all divide and rule thing, and we know the source. We know when it happened. Why haven't you gone back to deal with it? Because when you deal with it, first of all, Nigeria, are we secular? Are we religious? We don't know. We don't even know if we're secular or religious. And why would we even say we're secular when some insist that we're religious? Why can't you define some of these? So when you say God-fearing, which God are you fearing? We are messed up. And we are messing ourselves up into it. So what do? Go back and reset it from the foundation. When you do that and create nations, trust me, we will hold people accountable. What you're talking about is a classical case of when people, the citizens now wake up and say, you know what, this cannot happen. And when you start to do it right in the Yoruba nation, Igbos will copy if they are start getting it right. If you're doing it right, before you know it, we're competing on the right values. And before you know it, Nigeria will evolve to a country and a union of nations that you're going to be proud of.
Last question on this. If we now balkanize the country into...
Not balkanize.
I get
the wrong choice of word.
Okay, if we now
reimagine, reset.
Yes. Into different nationalities, and then take the Yoruba that I'm from, and then you have the Bola Ahmed Tinubus of this world, The South, they have the, just picture Bola Ahmed Tinubu
Yes.
as a type of the Yoruba politicians that we have now. Then you have South, Nyesom Wike as the type of leader politicians they have. And then go to all the different parts of Nigeria. Just imagine, because what you have only done is that you brought these guys, the guys at the commanding heights of political leadership. You brought them from the larger picture, you brought them to the lesser picture, and they're still lording it over, abusing the people, tormenting the people, not providing any leadership. What do you say to that argument?
Simple thing here is, let me be honest with you. When you reset Nigeria, the overarching principle is that Nigerians will now take decisions in the interest of Nigeria. Not some people external, not some colonial masters, not some elites, Nigerians. And when we do this, and we are responsible for putting you into office, we will hold you accountable. The reason all of that is not happening because we are knocking ourselves up. When you have a homogeneous people whose identity, and if, for instance, a Yoruba nation decides to use Chinese model to run Yoruba nation, or Ifa model where they go and consult the gods and decide who their leader is, here's the point. When you do it right, and we're hoping it can be done right, Nigerians in different nations would hold their leadership accountable. And by the time you see that 1, 2, 3, 4 are doing right, the rest will jump because they know the consequence. The real power starts, number one, God. After God is citizens' power. And citizens' power, this inept citizenship that we suffer, is a result of this dislocation. Cure that dislocation, you will see Nigerians become more active. After all, we demonstrated that in what happened in the NSAS. We demonstrated that what happened in the 2023 election. Nigerians can actually rise up and do what is right. But we need to make sure that dislocation is cured.